Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another installment of Flyer Gonna Flyer, episode 68. We got a real good one for you guys this week. What an awful week, top to bottom, both on and off the ice. 4 games played. They lost all 4. They got a whole 1 point. It feels like that 1 point was an eternity ago. And this losing streak is getting from bad to worse. Actually, no, I lied. Did they even get any points this week? Wasn't the Toronto game last week? You're right. My bad. I thought that was last week. I gave them too much credit. They got a whole no points. They lost 4 straight regulation. Officially have lost 6 straight games in total. In what was looking like at least a exciting season in terms of where the team was in the standings. Maybe not in overall what we're seeing on the ice, but that can be debatable depending on the fan. Hence why the name of this episode is dedicated to Mr. Tom Petty, Free Fallin'. What a great song that is. And that's what the Flyers are on. The Flyers are on a free fall, and it's not good right now. But yeah, we're going to be going over last week's game, a little state of the team action. Me and Eric are going to rant off of what we're thinking about this team right now. Kind of little mini topic of, is the season still salvageable? And yes or no, and why? And then we had a little bit of a Flyers mailbag this week. We got quite a few questions from the fans, so we're going to be going over a lot of these questions, a little bit of a lightning round because we got so many. We'll do the best we can to get as many of these questions done as possible. I tried to get all of them. There was like 1 or 2 replies hidden. So if I did not get to your question or we did not get to your question, I do apologize, but we're going to do the best we can here. But as always, one of my 2 gracious co-hosts, to my left, you know him, you love him, Mr. Eric Martino. Eric, how you doing today, bud?
Well, I think I'm doing better than the Flyers. I see at least that. I got my toque on today because it's a little cold in my basement. It's kind of cold here in Montreal the past few days. And so like a little bit this because the Flyers seem to be cold too. So gotta warm up.
I hear you there. If anyone who knows me, I have 2 sports loves in life: the Philadelphia Flyers and the New England Patriots. One team has brought me nothing but prosperous joy and happiness in the 34 years I've been on planet Earth. I've witnessed 6 Super Bowls, 7 if you count the one in Tampa Bay, but I'm not really going to count that one because that was technically Brady with the Bucs. But we'll call it 6.5. Point being, I've witnessed 6 Super Bowls and them go to 10. I've been pretty damn spoiled as a Patriots fan. And I think life is kind of trying to balance it out being a Flyers fan and saying, yeah, Alex, you can't have too much fun. You got to suffer on the other love that you have. So I just wore this today to quote Jeff Fisher back in 2009. I just wore this to realize what it felt like a winner again. He said that after the Pats annihilated the Titans 59-0 in the snow back in 2009. That's a quote I'll never forget. He wore a Peyton Manning jersey to his presser and just said, I wore this just to make it feel like a winner again. And the Pats play the Houston Texans today in the AFC division round, so I'm a little excited for that too. But we're not here to talk about the New England Patriots or the NFL or anything like that. We're here to talk about the Philadelphia Flyers. And we got a lot to talk about. So let's start with last week's games, or try to the best of our abilities. Eric, why don't you lead this off? What do you think of last week's quote-unquote?
Yeah, no, look, this past week, man, and even just bleeding into a bit of last week, the week before, has just been awful, man. Like, and you know what's actually, okay, you know what's weird, okay, is that, like, let's say you take that Toronto game, like a couple weeks ago into account. So, like the past, 6 games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, the past 6 games, okay? Most of those games, I actually don't think the Flyers played that bad. The Toronto game, it was just like bad luck. Like, they just didn't get those bounces, like I mentioned last week. Fine, whatever. You lost that game in overtime. Your power play absolutely fucking killed you that game. Okay, whatever. Tampa, look, watching both those Tampa games, again, I thought the Flyers hung in with them. It's just that, like, clear and above, the Tampa Bay Lightning showed why they've been to 3 Stanley Cup finals in like the past 6 years, 1, 2, and like, and why they're back. This, like, the way they're playing this year, it's like it looks like Tampa's back. So okay, fine. You lose those 2 games, you got slaughtered in both those. Not slaughtered, but anyway, you lost pretty bad. But
Mhm.
again, watching those games, you're like, okay, fine. The Flyers don't look that bad. Then the Buffalo game. That one to me, again, if you look at the underlying numbers, the Flyers actually didn't play that bad. They actually, I think, only allowed 16 shots to Buffalo that game, if I'm not mistaken. It was something low. But like it's just every time they had a brain fart, it was like a massive brain fart. And it was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like every turnover turned into a high danger chance or like a great scoring chance. It was just a weird game. And then look, Pitt and the Rangers games, like again, were they terrible? I don't think they played absolutely terrible, but it's like it just seems like now lately every chance against is a goal. Our power play is struggling. Our PK is struggling. Guys are in a little bit of slumps. Like the secondary scoring isn't there anymore. Like, look, granted, we're dealing with injuries, but like, who isn't? Like, who isn't dealing with injuries? So, look, I just wasn't a really good week at all, at all, at all. I'll get into more details on other stuff like on our next topic, but just wasn't a great week.
Oh man, I feel like what you just said was a PG version of what I'm going to say.
Look that.
I will say this. Did the Flyers get completely dominated in every single metric? No, I won't go that far. But this week felt like a absolute shotgun to the chest. It just completely annihilated any life this team had, any momentum this team had, any hope this fan base had. You know, one of the things I can say is we've been critical about talking and the way this team has played, at least from in terms of schemes and accountability. And I'm going to get a little more in depth into this once we go to the state of the team talk and the whole 9 yards. But we could at least, somewhat level it out because the team was, winning. If we go back 5 games ago, even the team was 22-12, and I think what, 8 or something
8.
like that.
Mm.
Now you're 22-17-8. You've lost 6 straight. You've gotten a whole 1 point out of this. And there's a lot of issues to point out. But the biggest one is their goaltending has been an absolute albatross, abysmal, asininely bad. I can't describe it with words. You have allowed at least 5 goals in each of the last 5 games.
Clip that.
Enough said. Enough fucking said. 5 goals in each of the last 5 games. The New York Rangers game from yesterday, for example, I didn't even get to watch any of this game. I was with my fiance out for some stuff for our wedding planning. And when I turned the game on my phone, it was already 5-1 in the second. I'm like, oh, holy fuck. I'm glad I didn't see this fucking shitstorm. And I'm looking back, and it's pretty much what you said. Every fucking mistake they make ends up in the back of the damn net. Alexei Kolosov, who, one of the things we've been calling on is Sam Ersson, how bad he's been and his inconsistencies. Kolosov comes in there, takes faces 3 shots, all fucking 3-1 in. He had a 0 save percentage. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. When do you ever see a goalie go 0 for 3 to start a game? Can anyone remember the last time that's happened in a game, just in general? I can't. And the Rangers are an absolute horror show right now going into this. Last Saturday, they just lost fucking 10-2 to the Bruins. They allowed 8 goals to the Senators later in the same week. And then they end up going belt to ass on you 6-3 in a game that didn't feel even that close because it was 6-1 at one point. The Flyers got some garbage time goals. Not one of these games in the 5-game losing streak was close. Maybe if you want to argue Buffalo to a slight extent, maybe. That was the only game I felt like they had a slim chance of winning at some point. But every other game was out of reach halfway through the game. Halfway through. This team, I don't know what it is. If they're just down on themselves, if they just quit on the coach, that's ask who you want. We'll see. But I don't know what's going on right now. But another massive issue is how atrocious both special teams have been. The power play continues to be an absolute nightmare. It has been for over half a decade now. That's nothing new. But now, even the PK is an atrocity. They're barely over 50% since January 1st. Let that sink in. We're over half a month into the month of January, and they're barely over 50% on the PK. That's insanity. The special teams have been a level of bad you cannot describe with words right now. What they saw last week was an absolute nightmare, but it gets worse because now you had all this off the ice bullshit that we're going to get into a little bit that happened with the Spit and Chicklets group in Tocchet, and it was actually addressed, and Flyers faithful went off the hinges on Twitter. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't one of them. I was to a degree, sure. I went to bed one night, I woke up, and I saw Flyers Twitter got in a massive feud with Biz. I was like, holy shit, what the fuck did I miss last night? Oh, my God. This week was the week from hell. I don't think, despite some of the losing streaks we had with John Tortorella, I don't think any week was this bad at any point, both because of on and off the ice nonsense. I haven't been this disappointed in this team since the run they had in 2018-19 when I was clamoring for Dave Haxtell to get fired game after game after game after game. I made a fucking stupid Haxtell decision count on Twitter that year, pinpointing every fucking mistake Dave Haxtell made.
Clip that.
Words can't describe it. That week, last week, was a fucking nightmare. And this is giving me very bad PTSD to the Dave Haxtell days because the things that they were doing good this year on the defensive end, they weren't even doing that now. So when do we hold some accountability for this team? When do we look at this and say, when do we look at this and just simply say, this is unacceptable? And that's my rant on this week, because it's going to get a lot worse when we go into the state of the team. But Eric, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, just to touch a little bit on like last week's games and whatever, and like you mentioned, Kolosov, like 3 goals on 3 shots. Look, I just want to like defend him a little bit. Like at the same time, yes, like it's awful, and honestly, I think 2 of the 3 goals, I would have liked to at least see a save there. Like just again, like we say with Urson, like man, just give me that save.
Cam York had an awful game yesterday, mind you. I got to point that out too.
At the same time, one of the goals was a 3-on-1. Like the other one was a 2-on-1, and the other one, I think it was just like just a real good play that the Rangers made. But anyway, I didn't even want to go back and watch the highlights of that game. But I know at least I know 2 of the 3 were complete defensive breakdowns, which is something that's really starting to affect the Flyers, is these defensive breakdowns or these turnovers that end up in odd man rushes against. This is something that's starting to creep its little head more and more. And again, like with Vladar out and not bailing you out, like it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be, and just quickly one last like on Vladar, just to say, like in the past 8 games, okay, from the past 8 games, where I think the Flyers, I mean, I'm going to get back this a little bit later, but it goes over 8. But anyway, in the last 8 games, the 8th being the one that he got hurt, okay? Mm-hmm. So I didn't count that in his record because, like, but, like, so in this, let's say the 7 games, he's 4-2-1, okay? So he's actually been, like, winning, like, most of his games. He's only allowed 3+ goals twice. So in the 7, let's say, that's minus the 8. Even the 8, he allowed 2, but then he got hurt, so he got pulled. Yeah. So, like, you see, like, even though the Flyers have been struggling, he's still at least been doing his part. So it just goes to show, like, what the rest of your goaltending is doing. That's really, really hurting you.
Agreed. And you know what? It really just pinpoints to how much Vladar was keeping this thing above water. Because you're now seeing it. He's been hurt since Wednesday. Honestly, I think he tweaked something in the game against Tampa the game prior, if we're going to be honest. Mm-hmm. But I think he made it even worse in that Buffalo game because he kind of looked a little stiff after allowing a goal against the Lightning on Monday. And I feel like the Flyers should have recognized that. I mean, we would have probably got pissed off at the time and said, oh, why the fuck are you going to play the door? But then we can at least realistically say, okay, it makes sense looking back. And then you could have came out and say, Ladar tweak something. We're going to give him a few days to be on the safe side and not make this any worse. We'll have him ready for Saturday. So this is and now he got hurt. Thankfully, it doesn't look like he's going to be out too long. Danny Briere came out and said that their planning is maybe he's ready for Friday against Colorado. Oh, what a team to come back against.
Cool.
But
they've been struggling a little bit. In Colorado, they're struggling a little bit. So
yeah, but Colorado, they did lose to Nashville the other night. So, but that team is still such a wagon. But anyway. Let's move on to the state of the team. So this topic we're about to do is more just a agenda-free, let it all out, get what's on your mind. What do you feel about this team right now? You know, the vibes, I won't ever say we're high at any point in this year, but they were at least, you know, semi-optimistic, cautiously optimistic, I think is the better word or term, because they were at least winning, but we had our critiques on the coaching, the way the players are being implemented, some of the stuff that was being said by leadership, the whole 9 yards. But at least they were winning. Now they're not winning anymore, and we had a shitstorm happen this week. So, Eric, I'll let you start. The floor is yours. Get off whatever's on your chest right now about this team. Have at it.
Look, right now, they're in a funk. Right now, they're not playing right. Everything that they were doing right to start the season, they just haven't been doing lately. And look, like, yes, we're gonna focus a lot on like the last maybe 5 to 6 to 7 games. But I was going through some numbers. I was going through the records and whatever. Honestly, this started. I feel like the slip, like the down. The downhill, the tumble, the snowball, I don't know, whatever expression you want to use, started like 15 games ago. I think it all started on December 18th against Buffalo. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Since that game in the past 15 games, they're 5-8-2. They've allowed in those 15 games 60 goals. 60.
Eric, I apologize to interrupt real quick. Isn't that the same exact game where Tocchet came out and said they were 17-10?
I don't remember, but it's possible.
I believe that is at that exact game. He came out and said they're 17-10 when they asked him some criticism about Michkov, I believe, in a presser. And now they're 5-8-2 since. Apologize, did not want to interrupt, but please continue.
Okay. So they're 5-8-2 in the last 15 games. They've allowed 60 goals. Okay, 60. That's 4 goals against per game. Okay. Previous to that, okay, in the previous 30. Oh fuck! I just wrote it down here. Anyway, whatever it is, like 30 something games. Basically, before that, 2.68 goals per game. So you're allowing almost like 1.3 goals per game more. And you've only scored, but now they've been scoring like a little bit, but like 3 in that same span, 3 goals a game. So, look, I don't know I don't know what it is, but there's something going on. But again, also special teams. In those 15 games, the Flyers, the penalty kill is at 71.7, and the power play is at 11.8. 11.8. Guys, they've scored. In those 15 games, they have 6 power play goals in 51 attempts. That's nuts. How do you only score 6 power play goals? It makes no sense.
Doesn't even feel like that much.
You know, and look, now, like, is it all on the players? Is it all on injuries? Like, I think the blame goes around everywhere. Okay, I think there's blame to go around everywhere. Has the defense been as good as it's been like to start the season? No, I think a couple guys have been struggling a little bit. But at the same time, also, like, again, like, look, Ristolainen came back. He had a great impact. Now he's gone again. So like, that hurts you. At the same time, Andre, who like was pretty good. Like, I find he's been cold lately. He's just not the same. So I don't know if it's like the league that's figured him out or what, but like he's just not pushing pace as much as he used to. And like forwards, like, at the end of the day, man, like Zegers can do so much. Like other guys have to pick up. And like, look, like Mishkov, like I get it. Like, look, everybody's there. All like the usage, the time on ice. Look, I get it. And honestly, I think he hasn't been bad. Like, but he has like spurts where like he could be better. But at the same time, like, you know what? Especially with, like, when you're down, like in games, like, and like give it to credit to Tocchet, he's done it a couple of those games where he's played Mishkov extra minutes, like he'll put him high, like double shift him or whatever. That's fine. But like my biggest I put this out on Twitter, okay? My biggest thing with Tocchet when it comes to Mishkov is basically, and this is what I saw on Twitter, he's trying to turn a Ferrari into a Mustang.
I like that analogy.
Like, it's not that he doesn't think that Mishkov's skilled or whatever, but he just wants to completely change his game. He wants to because Tocchet thinks to win, to be successful in the NHL, you have to be a forechecker, you have to be good against the walls, you have to go north-south, whatever. And that's fine. That works for certain players. That's fine. But like at the end of the day, a team has all kinds of different players on it. It's not 23 guys or like 21 on a 20 or 21 on an actual roster per game day. It's not 21 guys that do the exact same thing. No, you need diversity. So if you try and change guys' games and you try and like make them be something they're not, like, yes, he has enough talent that maybe he could be successful at doing that eventually, or maybe, or whatever. But if you're not playing to a player's strengths, if you're not using him to his strengths, then what's the point? Why are we trying to do this? You know, there was that quote that came out was a week ago or so, that the Marty St. Louis, sorry, I wish I had it. I forgot to save it.
When he was talking about Ivan Demidov?
Exactly. You just have to let skills players
I love
be
that.
skilled
Not
players.
overcoaching. Don't overcoach.
Exactly. I love that quote. That's your quote from him.
At some point, you can teach them what to do, but you got to at some point let them take over in certain situations what 1, they do. And that's what he was talking about. And I was thinking about that before you mentioned it. I wanted to cut in and say that.
But and that's why, I don't know if this is gonna sound crazy, but like I think Torts was actually a better coach for Mishkov
100%.
Because with Torts, it was like, listen, Matvey, I need you to do this in the defensive zone, and I need you to do this in the neutral zone. Whatever you want to do in the offensive zone, buddy, that's up to you. You're creative. You play to your strengths in the offensive zone. But I have my rules. This is what I need from you defensively. And honestly, great. And like a lot of people were chirping, oh, he wants to turn Mishkov into a 200-foot player. He doesn't. Like, no, well, yes, in a way, because every player should be like good defensively. If you're not, you're out of the league. Like, I'm sorry. Like, if you can't defend, you're out of the league. And to Mishkov's credit, he did it last year. He improved defensively. Even this year, you look at his metrics, he's not bad defensively. Yes, he'll cause a turnover every once in a while. But like, that's what elite players do. They turn the puck over sometimes. It happens. So why are we trying to change his game? Play to his strengths. You know, it just doesn't make sense to me. And that's a big issue with this team right now, is that I feel like he's trying to do that with him, with a couple other players, and it's just not working. And like, it's, if we keep on doing these things, like, it's, how are we going to advance? Like, how are we going to go move forward? If you're trying to like put a round, like what, a round peg in a square hole or whatever, square peg in a round hole, whatever, like, it's not going to work. So for that, like, it's really bothering me. And at the same time, I'm like, look, I've said this even before they hired him. And look, I didn't mind the Tocchet hire. I didn't mind it. I just didn't think he was the right coach for the Flyers right now. This is a guy you get in 2-3 years from now, when your young players are established, they've They've taken like that next step, and now we need a guy to lead us to that next step. That's when they should have hired Tocchet. This was not the right time for him. This is not the right coach for the team at the moment. And I think that's what's really, really hurting us right now.
Well said. You hit a lot of hammers. All right. Where do I feel right now? I'm going to go in on this quite a bit.
Clip that.
So I'm going to kind of piggyback off of your last point a little bit. I did not think Rick Tocchet was the right hire from day one. I wrote a tweet about it on May 13th or 14th. I think it was the 14th, stating all my issues I had with Tocchet. He's a very conservative coach. He plays a very over conservative defensive style of game, where his offensive output is completely limited based off of that. He overcoaches, as you mentioned. His track record is garbage. He's had 9 seasons prior to this one, and he has 1 legitimate playoff appearances. Now, mind you, you can point to the rosters that he's had. I understand that. Maybe some of those weren't that great. But if you're going to be this big messiah coach that people are trying to talk me into right now, you need to find a way, like John Tortorella does of all people, to get the best out of some of these teams. You have 1 legit playoff appearance, and don't give me the 2019-20 bullshit, because that team got in as an 11 seed, that Arizona Coyotes team. They weren't a playoff team in my eyes. So outside of his Jack Adams year in 23-24, which I'll give him credit for, that Canucks team was good. But mind you, they had a lot of talent. And as you mentioned, Eric, they were somewhat ready to take the next step. But let's kind of look at that Canucks team. What happened the next year? There was a fallout. Mind you, it wasn't all his fault. I'm not going to put it all on him.
That was a shit show.
But you had the massive issues with Pettersson and JT Miller being the first big thing. Thatcher Demko is made out of glass. There was the Brock Besser crap that was hanging over their shoulder all year. And the whole team was imploding within each other. And Rick Tocchet did them no favors and continued to call out Pettersson consistently about, oh, he needs to practice better. Oh, he needs to do more. And that team just completely imploded, which eventually led to them trading JT Miller, who, mind you, that was the right guy to trade. I will give Alvin credit there. They needed to get rid of him more than Pettersson. But the way Tocchet handled Pettersson was an embarrassment because it completely fucked with him. I want to point to some stuff out with Tocchet on the ice. Look at, and now mind you, Clayton Keller kind of came to his defense, but I'm still going to use him to an example. Look at Clayton Keller, look at Pettersson, probably the 2 biggest stars he had in both Arizona and Vancouver. Mind you, when Tocchet first came to Vancouver, he was taking over Pettersson at the midst of a 102-point season. But I'm not going to give him full credit for that because you don't really implement much of a system coming over halfway through a season as a head coach. So he took over the midst of that. Then Pettersson kind of dipped a little bit to 89 points. Still a very good year. Don't get me wrong. Still a very good year. So I'm not going to give him too much crap for that. But it was still a little bit of regression. But they had a 109-point year, made the playoffs, made the second round. Then Pettersson fell off this year, and he's kind of struggled to find his game since. Clayton Keller kind of really had issues taking off in Arizona. He leaves, and then he kind of starts finding his game a little bit. Now, mind you, to an extent, Keller defended him and said he thanked him for the way he coached him, but he completely limited him offensively. He did not let him be the player that he could be on the offensive end. And now we're seeing Clayton Keller turn into one of the better wingers in hockey. And now we go to Matvei Michkov. I agree with you 100%. John Tortorella was a much better coach for him. And I will say this, it took me until year 3 to sour on John Tortorella. It took me until week 3 to sour on Rick Tocchet. But I still at least was trying to give him chances. I did not like what I saw from Rick Tocchet from week 3, but I at least gave him chances. Thinking, all right, it's early in the year. And I was adamant about those things I didn't like on week 3 on social media. But it was like, they play such a boring style. Michkov's struggling. He's got to change things. I'll give him time, but this can't continue the way this team is being implemented. And, you know, the team kind of got a little more exciting. They continue to win more than lose, but it still felt stagnant. It still felt like an offensive system that was not going to work. You said it best, Eric. You're turning a player who is creative in his East-West game into a North-South player. That's not what you do with a guy like Matvei Michkov. I think you hit the hammer on the nail with John Tortorella. He was strict with him. He gave him shit. He even healthy scratched him twice. He'd bench him for periods, but he was fair. And even in those times that he benched him, he was still seeing about another extra 2.5 minutes of ice time. How do you, I'm one of those guys that are critical about ice time. People point out, when Michkov sees over 16 minutes of ice time, the Flyers struggle. But when he sees less than 16 minutes of ice time, they're on a 104-point pace. He gets those extra minutes of ice time in those games because they're down big and they're giving him quote-unquote garbage time, garbage shifts to add on to those extra ice time to make it look. I mean, I don't know if he's purposely doing it or not, but it's making the numbers at least look better than they actually are. Because if you look at the pace of those games in the first two periods, he's on pace for still about his regular 14 and a half minutes. But he starts double shifting him when they're down because he knows they need offensive output. So when he gets those extra minutes, it's because they're down and he's pretty much releasing a lot of their defensive tendencies because he knows the team needs to fucking score. Rick Tocchet was not the right hire for this team. I'm adamant about this. And listen, I don't know if this is going to happen. I really don't. Probably doesn't. But if it were up to me, I'd fire him at the end of the year. I would. And there's a few things that go into perspective with this. Number one, I think a lot more than just Michkov has gone south with this team. Cam York has regressed recently. He is not the player I thought we were going to see in general. He is not putting out the offensive output that we saw back in juniors. And he's even starting to struggle on the defensive end a bit. I still look at him as a second pairing guy, but I'm starting to worry about Cam York quite a bit. Zegras is having a good year, don't get me wrong, but I think it's a little bit inflated because the guy's shooting at almost 18%. When his career high prior to that is under 13%. I think it's like 12.6 or something like that. So how much of that is going to come back to earth when he starts shooting to what his career tendency shows? I'm not saying Trevor Zegras is a bum. I still think this guy's a 70, 80-point guy. But I think his scoring metrics are inflated because of how high he's shooting at of a percentage right now. That's going to eventually come down to earth. He is not going to shoot 18% for his career. I think he's more of a playmaker than a goal scorer. And I think he's more of a dangler too. But still, I'm happy with Zegras. But I think York has regressed. I think obviously Michkov has regressed. Mind you, Michkov's not blameless in this. He really is not. He did not do the right things in the offseason. But he's taking accountability and realizing I need to put in the better effort. I need to look at this over the Olympic break and over next offseason and put in the work. This is the biggest roadblock this kid has ever faced in his career. Because prior to this, he's never really faced these types of roadblocks. He's fucking kicked ass in every league he's been in. The MHL, the KHL, his first year in the NHL. But this year, he's finally hit a roadblock, the sophomore slump. And he knows that he needs to look at himself in the mirror and train properly and take the offseason more seriously. And he's going to. I know this kid will. He's got the fire in his eyes. I love the pick from day one. I still stand by Matvei Michkov. You can pinpoint the mistakes that he's made this year because he has not been perfect. He's been much better. He's been better of late in the last 20 games compared to the first, say, 10 games, for sure. Which comes to another argument I have with Rick Tocchet. Why the fuck is this guy still on the left wing? Why the fuck do we continue to implement Matvei Michkov on the left wing? We looked at the beginning there. Remember when they started implementing Michkov, Konechny, and Couturier as that first line to kind of piggyback off of what Bradshaw was doing at the end of the year? They moved Michkov to the right and Konechny to the left to start. Konechny was not comfortable on the left. I think actually, was it you that sent this on Twitter? Someone said this on Twitter. I can't remember. It may have been you or someone else. But someone brought this up that I was like, holy shit, this is a great point. Someone on Twitter brought up that Konechny did not feel comfortable on the left, and they instantly gave him that relief and moved him back to the right. Why the fuck are we still fucking with our franchise winger or future franchise winger and putting him on a side he does not feel comfortable with? I know it's his off wing, but he does not feel – I'm sorry, it's not his off wing. But he doesn't feel comfortable on the left side, is my point. He has always played on the right side. He had some periods in last year he played on the left, and they were scoring at the time, But Konechny was a mixture of him being a playmaking machine and Michkov being a scoring bender in those last 9 games that Bradshaw took over. Why are we giving all the vets this, but we continue to throw Michkov on the left fucking side? Why can't we move him to the right wing? Why can't we do it? Why is it such a hinder to do this? Why can't we go with a line at some point of Zegras, Dvorak, Michkov? I'll get on that contract again, too, because, Danny, you're not blameless in this. This is the first year I've been upset with Danny Briere. He is more of a rope to me than Tocchet because I loved what he did in the first 2 years. But I am a little upset with Danny over how he's handled things over the last few weeks. But I'll get into that in a moment. But why are we sending out lines where Michkov continues to play in situations he does not feel comfortable with? You're putting him as a third-line checker. Now, mind you, he plays bigger than his side indicates. The guy's built like a moose from the waist down. So I actually don't think his checking along the walls are all that bad, but his skill comes from his hockey IQ and his shot. You notice that 2-on-1 they had against Pittsburgh with him and Barkey? Remember that? They made it 6-3?
Yeah.
Where did he score that goal from?
Yeah.
The right.
No.
He's always felt more comfortable there. He's always played there. And we're trying to implement him in this role, as you mentioned, north to south hockey in positions he's not comfortable with. Michkov's not blameless, but Tocchet's doing him no fucking favors whatsoever. At all. Defensively, this team has started to break down and make gaffes. We can all pinpoint that. But it goes further than just this. The power play is fucking ass still. This continues to be a massive issue for me. The penalty kill, as I mentioned earlier in the show, continues to go on this fucking free fall from hell. I don't know what's going on there. And I don't know. Like it's getting to the point that it's getting harder to defend this. And then you're going with all the fucking bullshit drama that happened on social media this week. The fucking Spittin' Chicklets segment. Did you listen to that game Wednesday? How much they were fucking going in on this kid?
No, I'm gonna make a point about that after.
Yeah, but that pissed me the fuck off so much on that TNT broadcast. I actually don't mind Biz. Whitney's pisses me off because he's always hated Philly. But I actually don't mind Biz. Because Biz kind of was defending Michkov last year when Whitney was going after him. And he was rooting for the kid. I still think he is. But to an extent, man, talking to this, I'm trying to find the right way to describe this. But where I originally thought maybe it was a baseless rumor, this week, for the first time, and all this crap that's come out with the Chicklets group, maybe there is some smoke to this with Tocchet and the Chicklets group. I don't know for 100% sure, but it's more of like, why don't you come out and defend your guy? Rick, why didn't you come out and defend Matvey? He gave him a little bit of praise with him and Barkey against the Penguins, but why can't you publicly come out and say, listen, I love this kid. I want him to succeed. I want to do what's best for him long term. Why do we have to sit here and let these fucking outside media guys continue to say shit and you just fucking have your mouth shut? I did not like the Tocchet hire from day one. There was plenty of other guys I liked. Firstweiler, McKee as Jamey wanted. He was a guy that I would have liked. Jay Woodcroft. I think he got unfairly shafted at Edmonton. Even give Bradshaw a little bit of a trial run. Yeah, even a year or two. If it didn't work out, then you could have maybe moved on to your next coach. There was so many other better options. But I personally think the Flyers should bite the bullet and move on from him after year one. Do I think it happens? Probably not. I don't think they want to go into this after a year. But if you ask me what I want to do, I would let him go after the end of the year. Because I do not think this is the right hire. And I'm getting more and more scared by the day of how this shit's going to go. And Danny, I got to give you a little bit of crap right now. I loved what you did the last 2 years. You stockpiled assets. You made moves. You got a lot of these guys out here. Provorov, Hayes, Tony DeAngelo, Frost, Farabee, Lawton, Atkinson. The names go on. You got rid of a lot of these guys that needed to go. You got another first for Sean Walker after you just got him as a throw-in piece in that fucking Provorov. That Provorov deal was his best move. To this day, I will continue to give Danny his flowers on that Provorov trade. But this year, after you've done a lot of things that have frustrated me. I did not like the Tocchet hire. I did not like the Jack Nesbitt pick after trading up for him. The Amico pick is looking rougher. I love Martone, but do you really feel like you have a top 6 center in the pipeline right now? Maybe Luchenko? Nesbitt's a very raw talent, and there's already been a lot of criticism with him. Maybe you can find a gem in the rough in Jack Berglund, but do you feel anyone that you can 100% say, oh, I feel very confident throwing this guy in long term, he's going to be a top 6 guy? Could one of those guys materialize? Sure. But do we have the confidence that one of them definitely will? I'm worried about this. Scott Wheeler just came out today and expressed his worries about the Flyers rebuild. I'm more worried about the 1C than the 1D. And then, last but not least, Sam Ersson. Sam. This is unsalvageable at this point. He's not, I don't think he's going to turn it around at any point. I feel for the kid. I like Sam as a person, but the thing is, I don't know what you do. Do you just hold on to him and go embrace where this team is and just see what happens? Do you go buy a goalie, a backup goalie, and then potentially just put Sam on the back burner? Do you bring up Kolosov? But then you saw what happened the last 2 games that he played against the Rangers and to a lesser extent Pittsburgh. Do you fuck with his confidence and then maybe just send him back to the AHL? What do you do there? So this leads to our next thing. Before we move on, though, to the next part of this transition of is the season still salvageable? Eric, do you have anything to add?
Well, look, I want to touch on a couple of the points that you made, especially like when you were talking about like Mishkov, like and his usage and everything. And look, there was actually a quote. I don't remember when he said it, but like I know he said it a while ago. Tocchet, and he's basically saying Mishkov on the left wing. Oh, but he's better on the boards on the left wing. But this is exactly what goes to my point of being like, okay, that's fine, but he's better offensively on the right side. It's the right side is structured more to his game, the way he wants to play in the offensive zone. Maybe we should put him there, and it's like, and like I said, also, there was a couple of times where he did shift him to the right, where he looked more dangerous, and then we'll just put him back to the left. Look, for me, like, again, things like that don't make sense. And I know, look, I don't want to make this all about Mishkov, because honestly, like, me too, like, it bothers me that even online, it's always about Mishkov. It's always about Mishkov. And look, a lot of the people online, the frustration, a lot of it, like I said, it's all, but he's not getting enough ice time. He's not getting enough. Mm-hmm. For me, that's not even that big of it's not my issue with Mishkov, as opposed to, like, for me, and I've said this countless times, it's accountability. Why? And not only the coach, local media, national media, everybody is picking on this kid, but then will not say a goddamn word about anybody else. And I think it was, I can't remember which game it was. It was one of the national ones. So it was either Buffalo or Pitt. Anyway, I can't remember which one.
Buffalo. It was. I was bringing this up when they were bagging on him.
There was the first period, okay? Couturier makes an egregious, but when I mean egregious, like a bad fucking turnover that turned into an extremely high danger chance. Luckily, they didn't score on that play, but like it was a direct, not like, oh, he turned it over and then this happened and this happened and that. No. His turnover led to a high danger chance against. The broadcast didn't say a word. Nope. Silent. Not bad turnover by Couturier. Couturier should have been better. Not a word.
Can I add something real quick? Sorry. What? And this is where my thing with the Chicklets group, because Biz was on the
he was between the benches and
he was between the benches.
But he didn't say anything, and the play-by-play guy didn't say anything. Nothing.
No.
Sorry.
Continue. So, I apologize for interrupting.
Then this is where, like, honestly, I didn't put this on Twitter because I was saving it for the pod. There was 40 seconds left in the game. Okay, 40 seconds left. The Flyers are down by 2 goals. Mishkov, not pinches, he presses to get the puck to try and keep the play alive in the offensive zone. Okay, he caught it. Get 2 guys go on him, turns it over. The play goes the other way, empty net goal. Okay, the broadcast. Well, you know what? He could have taken that to the outside, regrouped, and done every excuse and anything to be like, you know what? Oh, he did that wrong. He did that. Guys, there's 40 seconds and you're down by 2. You want him to come out, regroup? No, you push the pace. You go. You make a mistake. You make a mistake. It happens. But I'm sorry. At that point, and then you're gonna trash on the kid because he could have taken it out and regrouped and this and that. Yeah. Kill another 15 seconds when you're down by 2 with 40 seconds left. Come on, guys. This is the things that bother me. These are the exact things that bother me. We can't say a goddamn word about Coots. We can't say a word about TK. We can't say a word about Dvorak. We can't say a word about any veteran on this team. But yet, every mistake this kid makes, there's an article written. There's something put out by local media, national media. And look, there's something I found a little bit strange. And I thought of this the other day. It came back to me. Last year, now, could it be coincidence? Maybe. One of the big, Tocchet with Pedersen. Again, you knew that. Even though he tried to play it in the middle, you knew Tocchet was on JT Miller's side. You knew it. You knew it. There was all those rumors that came out later. Pedersen's out of shape. Pedersen didn't come in good shape. Pedersen is this. Pedersen is that. Now, Tocchet comes to Philly. Mishkov's out of shape. Mishkov is this. Mishkov is that. He has to learn to play the right way. He has to, and then you're like, and another thing, why, again, this Chicklets things and whatever is bothering me. But since Briere and Jonesy took over, okay, there was not a word said about this team on the night. You never heard anything about anybody on our team. It was, I remember it was a big thing with Briere and Jonesy. No, we want to keep everything in-house, everything quiet. We don't want any outside noise. Then Tocchet gets hired. All of a sudden, Chicklets every month or so, or every 2-3 weeks, there's something about Mishkov or something about the Flyers, and mostly about Mishkov.
Clip this.
And then I think it was Biz or Whitney, one of them put it out there. Oh, it's not like I'm calling. I think Tocchet has better things to do than take my calls and talk to me.
That was Whitney. He said he doesn't even have Tocchet's number. I don't believe that for a second either.
Okay, but what's stopping Tocchet from calling you? Okay, you might not be calling him, but maybe he's calling you and being like, oh man, you know what? This kid, I don't know. I'm trying. He doesn't want to play right. I'm going to teach him how to play. And then these guys jump on it. Don't come and tell me that the past 2 years, there was Cutter Gauthier. Did any information come out on Cutter Gauthier before he got traded? Zero. 100%. But yet, in not even a year, in 47 games, in half a year, the Chicklets guys 3 times now that they've been talking about Mishkov and things that how did they know this? What's the common denominator? Tocchet. So don't come and tell me that he's not feeding media anything. Come on, guys. Let's get serious here.
Eric, that was 10 out of 10 rant. That you hit everything right there. And honestly, I'm glad you went on that rant because there's one other person I forgot to go after. And this is going to be, in my opinion, one way or another. I don't know how likely it is. It's probably pretty unlikely, actually. But this should be something that they have to try to do at least. They got to try to talk to Sean Couturier on waiving his NMC and getting him out of here. This guy he's borderline unplayable at this point. I don't want you to point to the fucking underlying metrics either. This guy is borderline unplayable. I don't even think he's at 3C level anymore. He has 5 goals on the year, and his guy has made mess up after mess up after mess up, I feel like, at least on the offensive end. Every time there's a rush with him involved, I feel like it just dies on his stick. Every time. And that is just a massive issue to me. It's probably not going to happen because who the hell is going to take that contract? But if it's up to me, I would give up half of that contract. I need half of that contract to get him out of here. I don't give a fuck about the return. It is addition by subtraction. especially now that you have resigned Dvorak for 5 years. That needs to be your priority, is finding a way. And I hate that deal. Me and you are in 100% agreement here. And you put it out on Twitter. They're 1-5-1 since extending him.
Yeah, there's 1-5-1 or 1-5.
1-5-1 since extending fucking Christian Dvorak. No disrespect to the guy. I think he's a fine 3C. But there is no fucking reason to extend this dude. You could have. The center market is so fucking thin. This was a perfect trade chip to potentially get someone to overpay for. Especially now that this team's fucking sinking like the friggin' Titanic. Holy shit. You could have gotten off of this dude's half season a massive overpay. This dude's still on pace for about 50 points this year. And you could have said, see what he can do if you surround him with the right talent. You could have sold that to a stupid organization that would have took him on for a stupid blatant overpay. Between that and the fact that the center market is thin, it was the stars were aligning to get a haul for this guy. And you said, no, I guarantee you, this is another point I want to make. It's another reason why I personally want Tocchet gone after the year. Again, probably not happening, very likely not happening. But another reason why I want him gone, do you think he makes that extension if Rick Tocchet is head coach?
No.
That is a Rick Tocchet deal because it goes against everything Danny Briere has done since he's been here. I personally guarantee you Danny either sells him off or at worst extends him to like 2 years at most. No, Rick had to probably, I don't know for sure if this is true, but if you connect the dots at least, Rick probably went into his ear and said, I need my guy Christian Dvorak here long term. He plays the right way. He's a culture guy. We need to make sure that he's here for when this team is ready to compete again. A guy who has never fucking eclipsed 40 fucking points in his career. Not once. And we're fucking going off of this half-season explosion because he's playing with Trevor Zegras and Travis Konechny, probably the best combination of wingers he's ever played with. Maybe in Montreal, he's played with some real talent too. I don't know what his line situation looked like there, but he's probably played what 3-4 C lines.
Nobody as good as them. No. Yeah. Not even. He played with Gallagher and Johnson. And
there you go. So he's playing with Trevor Zegras and Travis Konechny for the majority of his most common line mates. Trevor Zegras, who is having a career year, and Travis Konechny, who has consistently gotten more and more points every year, coming off of, I think, a 76-point year last year, I think it was. Those are his line mates. And both of them are on pace for good years again, too. TK, I'm not mad at him. He had a bad start to the year. He's one of the guys I'm not going to shit on personally because at least he's putting up offensive production. He still does some mind-numbing bullshit things, especially in terms of turning over the puck and making stupid-ass passes. But at least he's putting up offensive production, so I can at least give him that. Sean Couturier, I will fucking trade a bologna sandwich to get him off of this fucking team. I would trade him for a bag of chips. I would trade him for a bologna sandwich. I'd trade him for a half-melted cup of ice cream. Get him out of here any means necessary. Do not point to these fucking analytics. Do not point to him fucking coming out and saying, things just aren't bouncing the right way right now. This guy continues to be a fucking black hole down the middle. I don't even think he's a 3C anymore. The guy's got 5 goals, and we're almost 50 games into the season. Is he even going to get 10? Seriously. Is this guy even going to get 10 goals this year? What's his fucking criticism, as you mentioned? What the fuck is him? He's the fucking captain of this team. He's got the fucking C, and he's been a fucking missing. This dude's been on a fucking milk carton since he got that C. He actually was half decent last year. I'm spitting as I talk right now. But this dude was actually okay last year.
Clip that.
But this year, embarrassment. Get him out of here. Any means necessary. Eat half the contract. I don't care. The 3 things on my wish list at the end of the year, I think only one will probably happen. Let Sam Ersson walk. Any means necessary, trade Sean Couturier. Get rid of Rick Tocchet because he wasn't the right guy. The 2 and 3 are very unlikely. I understand that, but this is just me what I want. And it's just This has been frustrating for the sheer fact that this Danny emphasized at the end of the presser last year that he wanted to start taking steps in the right direction. The main guy that needs to take that step, and I'm not trying to make it all about him, but it's true, is Matvei Michkov. And again, it's not all Tochet's fault, but a good chunk of it is, especially with all this outside bullshit. And this is why I want him gone. I would love to try it again and bring in a Firstweiler or a McKee or a Woodcroft, something like that. I don't know. It's not going to happen most likely, but it would be the best thing, I think, long-term for this team that still has plenty of work to do in this rebuild. So let's move on to this. Eric, I'm sorry, before we do.
So just one last thing, really quick, okay? That's why, and I've said this a couple of times now on this pod. Something I heard from Elliot Friedman right before the season started, basically after we hired Talking and everything, and that was very concerning to me. And I brought this up. Friedman said, "Tocchet is here to win, not to develop," and that was super concerning to me because that's not what you do. What were we like the third youngest team in the league? When you have guys like Mishkov, you have guys like Marton that are coming, Bump, Barkey, all these young guys that you've drafted in the past 2-3, Luchenko, Nesbitt, whatever, all these guys that you've drafted in the past 2, 3, 4 years that are going to be joining your team that have to be developed. It's not about winning right now. Mm-hmm. It's not. Playoffs should be like it should be a goal. Yes, it should be a goal, but it's a luxury. Okay, yes. Just teach these kids, develop these kids the right way so that, yes, we're going to be more competitive this year because we do have good players. Because even someone like Zegras that we got, Zegras, again, still young. Zegras is still developing, but you have to develop them properly. And again, that was super concerning to me, what Friedman said, and it's real, and you see it in this first half of the season.
Mm-hmm. I heard the right way and my eyes started twitching because that's something they've been talking about all day. We need to play the right way. I was like, oh no, the Vietnam flashbacks are coming.
Oh, that's a term. Sorry, really quick. That's another term that really fucking bothers me. Play the right way, because if everyone played the right way, everything would be equal. There'd be one system. There would be one system. Everyone would play that same system and play the right way. You know who play? Everyone's like north south, north south, north south. You know who plays east west? Tampa Bay. Okay, Tampa Bay just slaughtered us 2 games in a row. Okay, they have 2 cups, 3 appearances in the past 5-6 years. So what? Are they playing the wrong way and just like lucked into success? So. God, I hate this. If you want to say you have to be like, I respect more, you have to be a 200-foot player. Mm-hmm. Fine. You want to say that? Like, he's not a 200-foot player? Fine. That's fine. But play the right way? Like, I'm sorry. Like, I hate that. That's one of my pet peeves in hockey is play the right way.
Mm-hmm. So let's transition this into a little quick mini topic before we get to our mailbag because we're getting a little bit up against it right now. Is this season still salvageable? Eric, give it to me straight. Yes or no?
I say yes, just because also, like, look at trends right now in the league, especially in the East. Like, man, Buffalo was at the bottom at one point, and now they're like in a playoff spot. Like things can change so quickly. And same thing, like look at even in the West, man. Look at Nashville. Nashville was like god awful. Now they're on a bit of a heater. So it's just been like the season's been a lot of ebbs and flows for everybody. And like honestly, look, it took us like past the midway point of the season to hit our actual, lull, our like down. I'm like, look, Vladar's hurt. Like I don't want to make excuses, but at the end of the day, it is reality. It is true. Vladar is hurt. Forrester's hurt. Brink's hurt. Ristolainen is out again. So and like you said, maybe there might be guys that are nicked up here and there. So already a team that wasn't super deep, because a lot of our guys are still in college or whatever. So now you're asking fourth liners to play third line minutes, third liners to play second line minutes, and already like our center depth, forget it. Like I'm sorry, we'll get into that later. But yeah. So look, is it salvageable? Yes, I think we have to get healthy. That's number one. That's why it's good news that like Vladar is not it's not a serious injury. I think that's one. Two, there's got to be at least a couple of trades. At the very least, there has to be at least a couple of trades. They got to bring in a backup goalie. I'm sorry, they got to bring in a backup goalie. Let Kolosov play the rest of the year in Lehigh Valley. Let him finish his season there. Like, again, for the limited time that I saw him play in the NHL, he hasn't been terrible, but he's not there yet.
Yeah.
He needs at least another. That's why someone like Alex Lyon would be perfect. Because he's got that extra year. So even if next year they still feel like Kolosov might need at least another 20 games in the AHL, at least you have that insurance that Lyon has that extra year, And like, look, Alex Lyon, such a world beater. Yeah, but you know what? This guy saved like 3 team seasons in like the past 5 years. Okay. On bad teams, he's still putting up 900 save percentages.
Yeah.
So like clear upgrade over Urson. So like I'll take that. And like who knows? He might not come that expensive. We'll see. Now, 2, they really, really, really need a center. Is that gonna come this in season? I strongly doubt it. Most probably gonna be an off-season move. But if someone does become available, I'm sorry, the Flyers have to pounce because Couturier, Dvorak, Cates as your 1, 2, 3 down the middle. I'm sorry. They're the same. They're honestly, at this point in their careers, all 3 of them are the exact same player. Look at their stats.
Coots is a 4C. The other 2 are 3C.
No, but like look at their stats. They are the exact same player. Okay? Like we have 3 3Cs. That's what we have. Okay, yes, Couturier would probably be better suited as a 4C, but I think he could still be a 3C. It's because there's nobody in front of Couturier that's actually doing anything of relevance. Okay, like that's why it makes Couturier's usage, Couturier's production way, way, way more like of a story than it is, just because there's nobody in front of him. Like Dvorak too. Oh, Dvorak's having a great season. He only has 4 more points than Couturier. 4, and he plays with Zegras. Okay, like Couturier is tied in points with fucking Noah Cates at 25. So like that, we have 3 3Cs. That's what we have right now. So yeah. So if the and Tocchet has to like, I'm sorry, but Tocchet has to pick it up. Like what you're doing right now is not working. Okay, it is clearly not working. It worked at the beginning of the season, but now I don't know if teams are just figuring us out, figuring out the system. But right now, teams are taking advantage of us, and they got to do something about the special teams. Like I'm sorry, like I think we do have the personnel to make for our PK, and like you see in the past couple of years, and even the beginning of this season, like it's been respectable. I'm not asking for a top 5, but like give me top 15 at least. Like the way it was most of the year. So if we can fix our special teams, if Tocchet could get his head out of his ass, and if Danny can make a couple, like maybe not bold, but like just a couple tweaks here and there with the trade market, I think it is salvageable. But the way things are going right now, like if this continues, I don't know.
I think you make good points. They definitely would need to make trades to any hope of this. It's valid that these teams can go on runs at any point. Buffalo and Anaheim are 2 perfect examples of this in different ways. Buffalo fired their GM, who the hell would have thought firing Kevin Adams would have did this, and went on a 14-2-1 run suddenly. And they're in a wild card position, I believe. If not right outside of it, they're right in this. Meanwhile, Anaheim, who looked like world beaters at the beginning of the year, went on then to lose 9 in a row not too long ago. I think they've won a few since, but Anaheim right now is currently on the outside looking in. I think they've won 3 straight, though, since. Do I think the season is salvageable? No. For the sheer fact that this team is so injury-plagued right now. If they were healthy, now, you know what? I'm not going to say no. I'm going to rephrase that. I'm going to say it's possible, but it's going to be very difficult. they're very injury plagued. The loss of Tyson Forster has killed them in more ways than one. They're really feeling the effects of it right now. Vladar, he needs to come back and come back healthy, and he needs to be the Vladar of old. And as you mentioned, they have to find a backup goalie. They need to keep Kolosov down, and they have to send Sam Ersson out to wherever. Like, I'm all set seeing him play games anymore. He won't be on this team next year anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But they need a backup goalie desperately. And they need a center that can resemble at least a 2C, but I don't know how you get that unless if you move a guy like Owen Tippett. A trade needs to be made. Porter Martone will be here probably at the end of the year, or maybe early next year, at the beginning of next year. We'll see which or when. I do think some trades are in the works sooner rather than later. I think Owen Tippett and Bobby Brink both could be on the way out, or at least one of them. Denver Barkey looks like he might be here to stay. He looks like he fits pretty well. I think he's got, 6 points in 9 games? Something like that. 9 or 10 games. I don't know what the exact number is. He debuted against New York, but not bad for a guy who a lot of people I remember was saying they don't even know if he's going to be an NHLer. He was one of the prospects I was higher on the most. He looks like he's fitting like a glove. Him and Michkov had some instant chemistry, it felt like. And honestly, one last thing I want to point out, good on Michkov defending that kid in that Pittsburgh game. That was awesome. But yeah, the log jam at wing, you're going to have to use this to eventually get a center to a team that needs some winger help, whether it's the Islanders, Buffalo. I don't even know if Buffalo needs winger help right now the way they're going. But
I think he's in the
would be a team that would make some sense. If Columbus still thinks they have a chance, maybe you can give them a call. But Jarmo is a GM going back to Buffalo that you run some business with. Mm-hmm. I give this season a 20% chance to be salvaged, long story short, because we're a little bit up on it. But for it to work, you've got to be a lot more offensively tuned, and Tocchet has to change the way he's coaching, because the way he's going right now, it's not going to work. I don't give a shit if they go back to where they were. You have to find a way to get the power play going. You have to be more offensively tuned. One of the two massive things we point to this at the beginning of the year was the power play and goaltending. You got the starting goaltending you need, but the backup has been a nightmare, worse than usual. And the power play is still hot dick shit. So, yeah, they have to – the power play has to be immensely better. And the PK obviously has to find back in the stride again. I'm more confident in that happening. I don't think the PK is going to be like this forever, but they've got to get back to where they were on the penalty kill, because since January 1st, it's been the worst by far in the NHL. So that PK has to find its groove again. So do I think the season is salvageable? It's going to be difficult, but I say yes, but slim. But they have to find a way to take 2 out of 3 in this West Coast trip with these goalies for me to really be on board with that. I don't think it's going to happen. But if they can take 2 out of 3 from Vegas, Utah, and Colorado somehow with what they're playing in net and all the injuries they have, Rodrigo Abels is probably out for the season with the leg injury he suffered on Saturday. That was gruesome, by the way. I hope the best for the kid. Risto's out for another week. Bobby Brink's still on IR. Forster's obviously gone for the year. So with all these injuries piled up and a Kolosov, Ersson tandem running the peg, I don't feel confident at all, but we'll see. They got to win 2 out of 3 there for me to think there's any chance. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to some fan mail. So we had a Flyers mailbox this week, and we got quite a bit of questions from our fans. So we're going to kind of do this in a lightning round because we only have so much time to do this. So let's go over these. And we got 12 questions total. We're going to start with at DYL_not Dill. I'm going to say Dill. Dill writes, says, one name on the goalie market that actually stands out, Jordan Binnington. Binner's numbers, however, until recently are worse than Ersson's at least this year. Would you take a chance acquiring Binnington and with the hope he returns to form, or try another route with goalies? Eric, quick answer. Start with you.
I think, look, his cap hit's a little high. So like he'd be, but again, we're not paying Vladar much either way. So I think Bennington's like around 6 something, so maybe we'd have like, I think Vladar's maybe like about 12 million invested in goal. Hey, whatever, it's not that big a deal. To be the backup, yeah, I'd take a chance. The only problem I see with that is I think St. Louis is probably gonna want a lot for him, because again, St. Louis is in that spot where they don't have to trade these guys. It's like if somebody wants to give us not a ridiculous offer, but like a really good offer, then yeah, he's yours. But or else, like, St. Louis doesn't have to trade Binnington, so he wouldn't be my number one target, but I wouldn't mind.
I take a chance on Binnington, but I think the St. Louis would have to eat some of that cap hit. He makes $6 million, and he's got 1 more year left on his contract. But how much would it cost? I'd probably say you'd have to most likely move at least a second. And I don't even think the Flyers have a second rounder this year. I think that was part of the Tony DeAngelo trade, if I remember correctly. Was it that one? They moved the second out recently, and I know they don't have it this year.
I wasn't DeAngelo. Those are gone. Those are.
It was another trade. They had a second. I know they don't have this second.
You're right. I think we don't have our second this year.
So
let me just check.
If the price is low enough, yes, but I think it's going to be difficult to acquire him at a price that you're willing to pay. So would I do it? Yes, but I don't think the team would do it. All right, let's see question 2 here. This is a good one here. If a team offers a haul for Vladar, do you do it at you like that 1987 from Mark? All right, Eric, floor is yours.
Sorry, I was just looking if we had our second round, but I missed the question.
If a team offers a haul for Vladar, do you do it from Mark?
Oh God, no.
Like
No. I am sorry. We finally addressed our goaltending. We finally have somebody that can play. No. I do not trade a haul for Vladar, because then now, what do you do now?
And you're giving up on the season.
You're giving up on the season. You're giving up on next season too. Like, Zavragin's not ready. Kolosov's not ready. There's nobody in free agency. You'd have to like replace him with somebody else. I don't know. Like, it's like let's okay. Do we trade Vladar and then like trade for Binnington? Like, okay, like it's just like a lateral move, or like you're getting like slightly worse. So you're like, no, I'm sorry, no, I do not trade Vladar.
If it's a gross overpay, I'd do it. But if it's a regular fair deal, no, because they're so bad down at net right now that Zavargins aren't ready, Bjarnsson's not ready. How much faith do you have unless if Kolosov has a extended time here and shows me something up until the deadline that makes me feel more confident in him, then maybe I'd consider it more. But until then, it's tough. It has to be a gross overpay. Like, you're getting a haul for this guy. Like, something that you say, oh, you 1,000% won this trade. That's the way I would do it. If you did that, I'd probably do it. But for a fair trade, probably not.
And again, also, just to touch on just like a little quickly, like, if it's for futures, especially if it's only for futures, like, let's say, okay, I don't like a haul. Like, I could say, oh, this team's offering me 2 firsts and 2 seconds. Like, oh man, like that's fun. But like, that does nothing for the Flyers now. Unlike if someone like, I don't know, like if someone offers you a center who's at the very least 2C caliber with 1C potential, if that's included in the deal, then I strongly think about it, and then I try to address the goaltending via another trade. But unless that's then I find there's just no point in playing Vladar.
I'm not gonna lie, I would have did both of those trades you just mentioned.
Well, no, because then what do we do with our goaltending?
I know, I get it, I understand your reasoning, but I feel like that you get that much of a haul. I'm looking at the assets long term, and then you can probably move pieces and find another way somehow. But that's just me. All right, let's move on to question 3. From Suitable Elias, he's one of my favorite Twitter followers. I love this dude.
He's good.
Is it fair to call this losing streak worse than any from the Torts tenure? Eric, I'll let you start with this one.
Yeah, I saw this. Man, this is an interesting question, and I think yes. Because of expectations. I think during Torts' tenure, there wasn't really expectations other than we're tanking, we're rebuilding. Like, even Torts said it, like, this is a rebuild. We got to rebuild this. That's what it was, So you expected losing streaks. I think this year, with all like what happened the first half of the season, where it's like the team looked so good. They were defending so well. Vladar was on the top of his game. Even though like we had some poor starts and the offense, like not all of our players were playing to their capability offensively, then I'm like, okay, fine. But now, yeah, this is worse because it's like all of a sudden we can't defend. All of a sudden we're bleeding goals and the offense still isn't there. So that's why I think this one is worse because, like Danny said, this is the year where we want to take a step. You took that step at the beginning of the season. Now all of a sudden it's like all those steps you take, all your steps you took, you're regressing. So, like, yeah, that's why I find this one right now is worse. And it's at 6 games. And honestly, with what we have coming up in the schedule, I think we could see the first 10-game losing streak in a couple years now? Because I think it's
annual. We love 10-game losing streaks. I know it's a meme at this point. We don't have them every year, but it's a freaking meme at this point. I agree. Yes, I do think it is. Torts had a big losing streak right before he got fired, especially after the outburst that happened in that Toronto game last year. I think they lost, like 9 in a row at that point? 8, 9 in a row, something like that. I remember the exact number. Or it was like 11 of 12, whatever it was. But it didn't feel this bad because, A, the team was clearly out of it at that point. And B, this team was clearly is clearly in it at this point. And B, it's nothing to be excited about compared to last year. Last year, you had the excitement of Michkov going off. Konechny was having a really good career year. Coots, for his standards, was having a little bit of resurgence. Obviously, he still wasn't great, but he was almost up to 50 points last year. The goaltending was still abysmal, but PK was good again. Everything's going south at this worst time. So honestly, yes, I agree. And I don't think it's ending anytime soon. All right, question 4. From the Liberty Yell, TLY, what's the one trade you make right now? You can do anything you want. Let me start with this one. If it was up to me, Connor McDavid, obviously. But if we're talking in a realistic perspective, either find a way to get Costas Hellenius from Buffalo and appease them with Owen Tippett-based package. Try to throw some extra pieces if you need to. Or give a call to St. Louis and see what it would take to get Robert Thomas. You have to address the 1C need. And those are the two guys. I don't know if Hellenius is definitely a 1C, but he's got a much higher ceiling than anything we have, both in the pipeline and on the ice right now. One of those two guys, because I think Robert Thomas is very close to a 1C if he's not. I think you can make the argument he definitely is. I actually think he is personally. But those are the two realistic guys I'd make a move for. And in terms of Robert Thomas, St. Louis is probably looking more of a rebuild. You can move some draft assets to potentially get this. I probably wouldn't move you first this year, maybe a first next year, maybe a pick for a few extra picks, maybe a Luchenko, something like that. Robert Thomas is very young. I think he's only, 25? If I remember
25, 26, I think, yeah.
So you got your 1C figured out for at least the next 7-8 years. So, yeah, that'd be my move. One of those two. Eric.
No, same. Center has to be addressed. Center's the move I make. Robert Thomas, honestly, would be number 1 on my list. The only thing I feel like the cost, again, like to the Binnington thing, like, and I think someone, I forget who, I think it was Chris Johnson, or I think I reported, or it might have been Friedman, I don't remember. They're looking for an overpay for Robert Thomas. Because, again, they don't have to trade Robert Thomas. He's a good young center in this league. And behind Thomas, they have an aging Shen. They have Otto Stenberg and Dvorsky, who are young guys, but like they're gonna still need a center to like bring them up, I guess, like to play in front of them while they're developed. So I think it would take a massive overpay to get Thomas. So I don't know if that's in the cards for us. Like you said, Hellenius, I think I've said this before also, like a package surrounded around, I think Tippett does it. That's why that game against Buffalo, man, Tippett was on fire. I'm like, oh man, he is auditioning for the Sabres. We're getting Hellenius. They
should have drafted.
Look, Seattle, man, target one of Beniers or Shane Wright. If they're willing to trade one, let's figure it out. Honestly, I know you're higher on Beniers. I'm a little higher on Shane Wright. One of those guys, and another guy. Because if you heard, Vancouver put it out there. Everyone's available. I guess everyone except for like the young guys like Rossi or like Bouillon, the guys that they just acquired. but everyone else is on the table. Now, again, because of our coach,
never mind.
Not gonna happen. But you know what? If Vancouver would be willing to like eat $1 or $2 million on that contract, like I try and get Elias Pettersson out of Vancouver. I try and get him out of there. He's having a bit of a bounce back year. He's not at that 102 level where he was like 3 years ago, or even like at over a point per game 2 years ago. And actually, if you look at his numbers since Tocchet took, like you saw the trend of him going like this, and then Tocchet took over. Now you see the trend going like this, which is kind of like, I don't know. And again, he has a no move, so he probably wouldn't wave to come to us.
He ain't playing under Tocchet ever again.
So, but that's a guy that honestly, again, a skilled center is going to be available, and the Flyers won't because of reasons. So, but yeah.
All right. Question 5. Where in the world is Alex Bump? Is Bump hurt right now? Did he get banged up?
He's hurt.
I think that's what it is. Alex Bump got injured. He's been good in the AHL this year. I actually have liked what I've seen with him. He's got a real shot to push for this team next year. So, in terms of where he is right now, he's hurt. But I think in terms of production, I'm liking what I'm seeing from the kid for sure. Question 6. Based on Tippett's poor power play numbers, why is he still in the power play? This is an interesting one, actually. Eric, why don't you lead this one off?
That actually was it today? When did I put out that tweet? Anyway, no, it's poor management. It's poor management on our power play. Why is he still on? Honestly, I don't mind that he's still on.
He should be on the second unit,
like he does have like 2 goals, I think, in like 2 years or something like that. It's
both this year.
Yeah, one that like it's really crazy. I think it comes down to more like personnel and how they're being used, more to like that, like at the end of the day, like he's a shooter. You want to have a shooter on your power play, like, but like maybe he should be on power play too. I don't know. I think it comes down to a more of like of usage on the power play. They don't have the right personnel out there. Like we've said so often, Grabankin, why isn't he playing net front? And I remember there was a game. Sorry, I know I'm going off a little bit, but there was a game where I forget who got. Anyway, he had Couturier and Grabankin on the power play unit. Okay. And because there was a player that went down in game, but then ended up coming back. I forget who it was.
Yep.
So he had Couturier and he had Grabankin on, but he had Couturier net front and he had Grabankin in the slot. I'm like, why the fuck are you playing Grabankin in the slot when he's a perfect? He's good net front from his time in Lehigh. Okay, fine. Then the whoever got hurt, I forget who it was. I think it might have been Tippett. Anyway, comes back into the game. Grabankin doesn't see power play time anymore.
Yeah.
Like these are decisions. Emil Andre, super offensive. You think he would get a shot on the power play? Very limited minutes. Very limited. Oh, you know what? I took this down note. Sorry, quick. Defensemen on the Flyers who have played less time on the power play than Emil Andre. Adam Yinning, Igor Zamula, Nick Seeler, Noah Juleson, and Risto. But now, keep in mind that Risto just came back and he's out again. So these are all defensemen that have played less time than everyone else has played more than fucking Andre. When you have anyway, that's another tangent for another day. But yeah, I think it's not necessarily why is Tippett on. It's why are you making these constant stupid decisions on your personnel?
Yeah. As for me, I have no issue. I don't know if taking him off, but at least power play 2. He shouldn't be on power play 1 right now until you show something that makes you confident enough to put him on power play 1, at least in terms of production. He has 2 goals on the power play this year. He's got infinitely more goals than last year. Good shit, Tippett. In all seriousness, though, he needs to. I wouldn't take him off, but I'd move him to power play unit 2. I think your first unit, if it's up to me, Zegras on the left, Grabankin net front, Konechny in the slot, Michkov on the right, and one of Drysdale and Andre on the point. I know there's criticism with Drysdale and how he's been on the power play, but he's on pace for over 40 points this year. They don't have a true quarterback threat. They really don't in the power play. And that's a big issue with the power play. But at least Drysdale is picking up some apples. So that's the only reason why I'd move him there. All right. Question 7. What would it take for the Flyers to move on from Sean Couturier? A blessing from God. A blessing from God and Danny Briere to use a mind control device on a particular general manager and pretty much hypnotize him to thinking Sean Couturier is still an asset. Now, realistically, you're going to have to eat the contract, and you're going to probably have to attach a pick to it and send him out somewhere else. You're going to have to eat half that contract. There's no one taking on that contract in the NHL. You have to eat half of it, and you probably have to remember what they did with Shane Gostisbehere, with Alain Vigneault there. You'd have to do something similar to that. You'd have to trade Couturier for air. In all honesty, at least that trade, I could see why you did it. I was pissed about the Gostisbehere trade, but this, you'd have to eat half the contract and probably attach at least like a second at minimum. And even that, I don't know if it would do it. But yeah.
Okay. For me, I think, well, yes, one, you have to eat at least 50%. If not 50, at least a good like 30 to 40%. You're eating money on that contract.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think Couturier still has value in the league. Okay, people,
maybe defensively.
If you're a contending team that really absolutely needs a bottom six center, someone that could play at least give you good minutes at 3C or be your constant 4C or whatever, like bottom 6 minutes, I think there is a contender there that would actually trade for Couturier. And if you ate half to 30-40% of the contract, the 4 years I think becomes more palatable, because that's what's killing his trade value right now is he has 4 more years after this. So that one hurts. So if you can make Couturier into a $3.5 million player, that's pretty much what an elite 4C is going to cost you.
Yeah,
like on the market. So I think we could actually get an asset back for him. I don't think we would have to pay to get rid of that contract, even eating that much money. But I wouldn't expect a massive return. Like I don't even know if I would
expect any return.
Like maybe a second. No, I think if we eat half of the contract, maybe we get a second. Maybe we get a second or a B prospect.
That's a win to me.
Yeah.
All right.
I think he is tradable though. I think he is tradable.
Fair enough. All right. Question 8. I got one. How short is Briere's leash next season? And ditto for Tocchet. I love Gary. This dude's one of my Massachusetts Flyers fans. Briere is a longer leash. Gary is not on Team Danny Briere at all. This is the first year I have had issues with what Danny has done, but I think a lot of it has kind of been done with Tocchet whispering in his ear. So I think Briere's leash is still sizable. Like, if this is a full-length leash, I'd say it's like this. I would say Tocchet, unfortunately, it's probably going to get through this year. But if they start like shit next year, like that. So I think there's a real chance he's gone early in year 2. Eric?
Briere, I don't think his leash is short. Honestly, look, I think he's done a lot of good for this team. Yeah, look, we don't agree with everything he's done. And to be perfectly honest with you, the Tocchet hire, I don't think was his decision.
I don't either. I 100% agree. I think that came from higher ups.
Yeah, I think that was a Jonesy Hilferty thing. I think Danny had his guy in mind. That's it. I think Danny had his guy, and then as soon as Rick Tocchet became available, it came from up above. No, sorry, we're going with Tocchet. So I don't think that I do not put that on Danny whatsoever. And even Devo, the Devo extension, I don't put 100% on Danny.
I'd say it's
that
50,
one too.
50.
That one too. I wouldn't be shocked if like Tocchet, whatever, talking with Jonesy, talking whatever, and being like, listen, man, like, look, Zegras can't play center. We don't have anybody else in pipe. Like Luchenko's not ready, or whatever. And then it's like, well, come on, we gotta sign him. Again, I don't put it 100% on Briere, but at the same time, I think Briere should have had at least, and this is what I put on Briere. Briere should have had at least a foresight, or at least like, I won't say the balls, but like, be like, hey, let's wait till at least past the trade deadline. Let's see where our team is at. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what else I could maybe possibly do. And then we'll make a decision then. There was absolutely no fucking reason to sign him when you did. And that's what I put on Danny. And Tocchet, sorry, I think he signed a 5-year contract. I'm sorry, no matter how much money Comcast has, they will not eat 4 years. Like, they're not.
Unfortunately, probably not. All right.
No, I think he signed for 5 years.
It is 5 years. It is. Yeah. All right, let's move on to question 9. Special teams, are they cooked or can they be saved? I'll be quick on this one. I think the PK can be saved. Yeah. I don't think the power play can. This power play, until proven otherwise, the last year the issue was zone entries. This year the issue is getting legitimate shots to the net, because I feel like they can never get anything towards the net. They're getting into the zone this year. They're just not doing anything when they get there. So PK, yes. Power play, no.
Same. PK, yes. Power play. It is now 5 straight years that the power play has been under 16%. Different coaches, different systems, different whatever. I don't know. Different players even. I just don't. There's just something going on there, and I just don't see. Again, like I said, I think we do have the personnel to actually have a half decent power play, and I just don't think they're being put in the right position.
I miss the days when we had Giroux, Voracek, Simmons, Shen, and Goss to spare running the power play. Oh, such good times. We didn't realize how good we had it. All right, question 10. What is this one? I'm going to kind of just say this. I'm going to be very conservative on this question. Why do certain media members act like lapdogs, the team protecting from criticism? I can't speak for the media members here at the Flyers, so I'm not going to get too deep into this one, but I think it's just you got to do what the team – I mean, you've got to do what you can to keep your position with the team. I'm not going to come out and attack any particular media members, but that's realistically, I think, what it comes down to. You just got to do what you can, what you think the team would make you most happy about. Keep it at that.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, local media, it's weird. Like, look, they all have their biases regardless. At the end of the day, like, even myself, we always lean one way or more another, just like personal preferences, whatever. Like, so do they. Look, some I find just take it a little overboard. Like, honestly, like Kevin Kurz, like, I'm sorry, but like him, anyway, I don't know. But like at the end of the day, like even like look, I really like the guy. I listen to him all the time. Like, I respect him a lot. Like, but like Charlie O'Connor, like, we all know, like, he loves Sean Couturier. Sean Couturier is his guy, and he will defend him as much as he possibly can. And like, he put out this tweet the other day was showing his underlying numbers, and like, that's fine. Like, I get it, Charlie. Like, I understand. Like, he has good underlying numbers because he's trying to make the comparison to Mishkov, who also has good underlying numbers. But like, people are just constantly shitting on Couturier. But like, you know who has good underlying numbers but puts up low point productions? Fourth line centers, bottom, like, third line centers.
And that's exactly
like, I'm sorry. And like, at the end of the day, Mishkov is 21 years old. He's on the uptick. Sean Couturier is 33, 2 back surgeries and a bad knee. Like, he's
and a core surgery
on the decline. Like, at a certain point, like, so yeah, look, I don't want to trash on the media because, like, whatever, but like, for me, it's a lot more national media that's been pissing me off than local.
Yeah. All right, question 11, final question. Would you trade for Robert Thomas? Actually, we have 2 questions left. I apologize. Would you trade for Robert Thomas? Yes, I think we already answered this one already.
Yeah.
We brought up absolutely 100%.
And yes, but probably not the price that they're asking.
Yeah, exactly. And question 12, when do you think the Flyers, I think he meant to say, who do you think the Flyers draft in the first round, and who do you like at 12, our usual spot? I haven't read enough into the draft yet. And I'm just going to say this. I got to do more research before I can really give a definitive answer to this. One name I have really liked is Chase Reed. I don't think he's going to be available at 12. That kid can fucking play, and he's a center. Chase Reed, that's the kid I'm keeping an eye on right now. What about you? I don't know if you've read anything on it.
No, I would have to look more into the draft as to actual players, but I think what he meant by
Chase Reed's a defenseman. Either way, number 1 defenseman. He can play. I don't know why I got to mix up with another player. But Chase Reed's a number 1 defenseman. I'd love to have him.
I don't know. Honestly, the way things are going now, I wouldn't even be like as bad as they're playing right now, unless they turn things around. I wouldn't even be shocked if they end up in the top 10. I'll be honest with you. Like again, like this year, there's so much parity in the league this year that like, yeah, an extended. Because I think someone put it out there. We're 4 points out of a playoff spot, but we're also 4 points out of last in the East. Sorry. So like there's so much parity where like, yeah, look, if this continues, if they don't fix their special teams, if they don't stop bleeding goals, if they keep on getting injured, and like, look, Abel's just got hurt again. Not again, but like another player going down. Like, okay, whatever. At the end of the day, it's a fourth line center, but like it's still something, it's still a guy that got hurt. So yeah, no, look, I wouldn't be shocked if this losing continues that we pick in the top 10, but yeah, look, yeah, most probably it's probably going to be somewhere like around 16.
Little tidbit too. Flyers are currently 14 right now. They're 2 points out of 7th. So
yeah,
that can change very quickly. Very quickly.
It's nuts. It's nuts.
All right. So we're going to move on to next week's games. I think Eric does have to leave, unfortunately. So I will go over these
really got a game
by myself. Eric, it was good having you this week. We're going to go into next week's games. Those real quick. I'll be very quickly to bang this out. Rick, would you like to join in as a special guest for next week's games?
I don't. Yeah, I guess.
I'll read them off to you, and I'll let you just give predictions. How about that?
All right, hang on. Let me just change it so I can jump in.
They'll be very quick. All right, next week's games, 8 p.m. at Vegas on Monday. Rick, our favorite Montreal Canadiens fan. Monday at Vegas, 8 p.m. Wednesday at Utah, 9 p.m. Friday at Colorado, 9 p.m. This should be fun, said no one ever. Rick, why don't you give me a prediction?
Loss.
Honestly.
So you got no goaltending.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, unless something turns around, if you look at, because I had your schedule up there.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be rough.
It's a pattern, and look at the teams you're playing. So unless it's one of those situations where your guys play above where they need to, or where they are, it's how I don't see. Maybe you take a point by going to overtime with one of them.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm going to go 0-2-1. They're going to lose in overtime to Utah. They're going to lose to Vegas by exactly 2, and they're going to probably allow 114 goals to Colorado, is my guess.
I'm going to say this. It wouldn't shock me if the one good game is Colorado.
Yeah, because they probably will get up for that team.
Well, I just checked on them. They were 4 losses in their last 6 games. So I'm wondering if they're coming back down to earth. If that's the case, you guys might catch them where that's, We
played them tough last time in Philly. They only beat us by 1. But again, that's when we were playing semi-competent and not everyone was dead. So
I get it. But sometimes a team like Colorado on the way down a little bit is easy to catch on any night. So, maybe it's that.
Yeah. But with that being said, 0-2-1, I'll say 5-3 loss to Vegas, 4-3 loss in overtime to Utah, and I'm going to go crazy and say 7-1 loss to Colorado. But with that being said, that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode of Flyer Gonna Flyer, episode 68. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate each and every like, comment, and subscription we have. I say this every week. We're on a goal to 500. We're getting closer and closer each week. We are currently at 331, 169 away. Love to get there before the end of the year. The likeliness to be determined, but yeah, we appreciate each and every one of you. Check out our sister shows. Pucking Around Podcast records every Monday, out every Tuesday. High Brew Nation also records every Sunday night, out every Monday. And as I also stated on other shows, we get a little bit of a surprise coming towards the end of next month. Oh, which reminds me, speaking of surprises, I do have an awesome announcement to make. We're getting Jim Jackson back on the show. That's right. Jim Jackson will be back during the Olympic break. We have him currently scheduled for a live show on February 16th. So make sure you be there for that episode. If you have any questions you'd like to ask JJ, please do. He was awesome last time. We had him for almost an hour and a half. We're going to be doing this again. We hope you guys can tune in. Jim Jackson, again, as of right now, this time is subject to change based off of JJ's schedule. We're going to do the best we can to accommodate based off of his schedule. But as of right now, we currently have a live show scheduled for Monday, February 16th at 7:30 p.m. So that week will be when we do our Flyer episode. But again, tune in for that episode when we have Jim Jackson on. But again, that's going to do it.
One last thing. My podcast, Habnormals, will be starting.
Habnormals too. Check them out too.
Starting this today, as a matter of fact, on DPM. So every week on DPM, Habnormals. Check it out. It's our Hab.
Yep. Check out Habnormals. They'll start now uploading on Don't Puck With Media. Rick does a fantastic job producing and directing all of our shows. So give him some support. He does a fantastic job with Habnormals. S-tier quality. His channel's got over 4,000 subs. So if you haven't already, give him a sub too. If you want to learn some stuff on the Montreal Canadiens, a team that knows how to properly do a rebuild. But besides the point. All right. With that being said, that's going to wrap things up again for this episode of Flyer Gonna Flyer. Tune in next week. We'll have more stuff to talk about, but that's going to do it. Sit back, relax. We'll see you next week. And as always, let's go Flyers.
Ciao, everybody.